I like to settle down and just relax. And if you feel comfortable, close your eyes. And just know with me that universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one and all is well. I invite you now to close your eyes and relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your right hand. And let my words act as your own for your own inner acceptance and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge.
I acknowledge.
Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems, while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of this infinite presence, I simply speak these words, I surrender.
I surrender.
Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love in the kingdom of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding now I say, I forgive.
I forgive.
Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only constructive, positive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose.
I choose.
I now center upon that one special idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. Visualizing this idea as already acted upon and brought to pass. In seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled, and gratefully speak these words, I accept.
I accept.
Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release.
I release.
Now I call to mind the face of someone who has touched my life in powerful, wonderful ways. A friend or family member or teacher of mine, someone who is not physically present here today. I turn toward that face I see in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life.
I'm grateful for the good in your life.
I now open my eyes to the world around me and joyfully turn to all these people around me, to the person next to me, sharing my gratitude and confidence with, I'm grateful for the good in your life.
Everybody here, so that everybody can get a glimpse of perhaps what life would be like if they gave themselves permission. Notice what I said. Gave themselves permission. The song said, I give myself permission to be all that I can be. I give myself permission to live passionately and free. We're not perhaps in a physical prison, but oftentimes we can find ourselves in a mental prison. And we hold the key to this invisible prison door. And the key is simply saying that I give myself permission to be all that I can be. Because truth be told about it, oftentimes we're looking for permission from somebody else. We're looking for permission from someone else. We're looking for permission from something else in order to be all that God created us to be. And if I'm riding down your street, if I'm knocking on your front door, if I happen to be sitting in your living room, just say, welcome, Arthur. Because until we acknowledge our limitations, we'll always experience our limitations. I think I'll say it again. Until we acknowledge our limitations, we'll always experience our limitations because we will never rise any higher than our level of thinking. So if I'm always looking for someone to affirm me, I'll always need to be affirmed. But when I begin to affirm myself, I then begin to live free. So I'm not concerned about approval from anybody else because really at the end, when it's all said and done, I only need to hear one word, thy good and faithful servant, well done. That's all. And I stand here before you and I share that with some sense of passion because over the last 7 days, 3 people have transitioned in my life experience. These were not distant people. These were close people. An aunt that we buried on yesterday. An uncle who died on Thursday. A cousin who died the Friday before. An uncle and a cousin in the same family. We're doing a double funeral next Saturday. So when you get to experience something like that, you come to understand that we're here today and gone tomorrow. So that if life is going to be up to me. And I'm going to take advantage of the now moment, not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, but I'm going to take advantage of the now moment and live it to the fullest. Because how many of y'all know today is the 19th day of the year 2020? The 19th day of the year 2020. And for me, I'm living one day at a time. 19 of 365. Tomorrow will be 20 of 365 if I live to make it. But that helps me put things in perspective because long time, I may not get to a long time. But right now is real. Right now is present. Right now is all we actually have. And we can either live a permission-free life or we can live a life needing permission. So what we're going to talk about today is simply this. I want you to tell your neighbor, the person sitting next to you, hopefully you're sitting next to somebody that you like, tell them what you see is what you get.
What you see is what you get.
Oh no, you got to say that like you mean it. Tell them what you see is what you get. Yeah, what you see is what you get. And somebody's saying like real passionate. What you see is what you get. There's nothing more, there's nothing less. But clearly, I want to talk about what you see is what you get. And I know this particular talk falls on what we've deemed Ernest Holmes Day here at Creative Life Spiritual Center, the day that we set aside to honor Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, Religious Science, now Centers for Spiritual Living. So in January, we go back to what? The basics. We go back to the basics. We go back to the fundamentals. And oftentimes we need to go back to the basics because it's the basics that I love to say that wins the game. If you look at a basketball team, when the game is on the line, they're playing basic basketball. They're not shooting three-pointers. They're not doing fancy layups. The ball is hitting the backboard to go into the goal. They're playing sound defense because they understand that it's the basics that win the game. Well, it's the basics that help us live an overcoming, achieving life because it's really simple. Someone say simple.
Simple.
But not easy.
But not easy.
But we still have to do it. We still have to do it. We still have to do it if we want to live the great life. That's why the master teacher said it like this. He said, I am come that they might. Someone say might. That they might have abundant life. They might have the great life. They might have the grand life. It's all conditional. It's all conditional, and it's based upon us applying, right, those principles that would produce an abundant life experience. Applying those principles that would provide a successful experience. It just doesn't happen. If it was just going to happen, it would have already happened. And in reality, what you see is what you get. In computing terms, there was something created called WYSIWYG. Have y'all heard of WYSIWYG? No?
No.
A few of y'all? No? Everybody, nobody, somebody. Okay, got a hand in the back, got a hand in the back, got a hand in the back. Well, yeah, WYSIWYG is simply what you see is what you get. What you see is what you get. WYSIWYG. You get it? WYSIWYG. It's the first letter of each word. What you see is what you get. And basically, in computer terms, the way this is used, WYSIWYG was simply this. It was a computer interface that was created so that what you saw on the screen as you were editing would be the same thing that printed out on the paper. So it's called WYSIWYG. So what you see is what you get. So what you see on the screen of your computer is what's going to print out on the paper out of your printer. Y'all get it now?
Yep.
So reality is, for us, it is what you see is what you get. Because it seems like that's the way the mind works. It seems like it's the law of mind action. Thoughts held in kind, right, or held in mind will produce after their kind. Thoughts held in mind will produce after their kind. So whatever you're holding in your mind will show up in your life experience. It's like WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So what you're seeing mentally is what's being created physically. Ernest Holmes said it best. He said it like this. He says that life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. Life is like a mirror and reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. So if we really want to see how we've been thinking, all we have to do is look at our life. And I know that's hard. I know that's hard to fathom, right? That's hard to conjure up that what I am experiencing is perhaps a result of some of my thoughts. But this is the thing, it may not be your conscious thoughts, it could be your subconscious thoughts. Those thoughts that you perhaps are not giving conscious attention to, but yet they are running underneath, but yet they are driving your actions and your behaviors. Which is why we need to be able to examine our life experience to make sure that we're living the life that we truly want to live. Socrates says it like this: a life unexamined is not a life worth living. A life unexamined is not a life worth living. Because what happens if we don't examine our lives, just like this is 2020, somebody's living 2015 in 2020. Because 2015 rolled into 16, into 17, into 18, into 19, and now we're into 20. The only thing that changed was the date on the calendar because they were unaware of what was really going on. Am I in your neighborhood? Yeah. Well, trust me, I'm coming out of my neighborhood into yours. We're in this thing together. But the whole goal is to get to that destined place that we desire to be. And we have it within us to be able to do that. So not only did Ernest Holmes say life is a mirror and reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it, he said this. He says prepare. Someone say prepare.
Prepare.
Someone say prepare.
Prepare.
Okay, good. He says prepare your mind to receive the best that life has to offer. Prepare your mind to receive the best that life has to offer. Say, I will.
I will.
Prepare. My mind. For the best. That life has to offer. Because guess what? If you don't prepare your mind, if I don't prepare my mind, guess what? Somebody else has something else prepared. And it may not be what we want to eat. It may not be what we want to experience. It may not be what we want to feel. So if we don't have our minds made up, somebody else will make it up for us. This is why Ernest said, prepare your mind to receive the best that life has to offer. Each and every day, we have to prepare our minds just like we prepare meals for our body. One great writer said it like this. I think it was Paul. He says, hey, don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed, be changed by the renewing of your
spirit.
Your mind. And he really dropped the mic there, right? Because really what he was saying is that your life is a result of your mind. And if things are going to change, it's going to be because you've changed your mind. Ernest also said this: change your thinking, change your life. So if nothing changes within my mind, nothing will change in my experience, and what I see will always be what I get. And if I'm going to get any more, it's going to be because I decided to see more. But I have to see it within first before it will ever manifest on the without. And the thing is that I can place anything that I desire in my mind. And understand that I'm working with a divine law, I'm working with a divine principle, and believe and expect that it will come to pass in my experience. Because it has always been working. We've just perhaps not been aware of it. But perhaps if we were operating at a higher level of consciousness, a higher level of awareness, some of the things that have shown up would not have shown up. Because we would have shown up. We would have shown up as our best selves. That would have by default caused some things not to show up that represent our lesser selves. What you see is what you get. Ernest also said this. He said, like attracts like. Y'all believe that? Yeah, like attracts like. But this is how he ended that statement. He says, like attracts like, and we attract just what we are in mind. We attract just what we are in mind. So as I look at my life experience, that which is in it that I don't want, you know, on some level, we attracted it. Just as the things that we do want are in our lives, we too attracted those. And if we want something different in our lives, we're going to have to place our mental energy, our mental attention on that which we desire, and perhaps not that which we don't desire. Because the mind will bring us what we place our attention on. Where attention goes, energy flows. Repeat after me. Say, where my attention goes,
Where my attention goes,
my energy flows.
my energy flows.
And energy simply gives life. So if it's on something I don't want, if it's on something I'm fearing, guess what I am bringing to my experience? That very thing that I fear. A guy by the name of Job, he said this. He says, the thing that I greatly feared has come upon me. The thing that I greatly feared has come upon me. And what we have to understand about this guy named Job, Job was an upright man. He was a righteous man. He was a God-fearing man. He was morally correct, but he was mentally crooked. He was morally correct, but he was mentally crooked, which means that we can come to the center Sunday after Sunday, Wednesday after Wednesday, and still live life crooked. Because perhaps our mind is not where it needs to be. Lao Tzu said it like this: when you correct your mind, the rest of your life fall in order. When you get your mind straight, the rest of your life will fall in order. Would y'all agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. When I get my mind straight, the rest of my life will fall in order. Because everything that's in my life that's going right or wrong is a result of how I'm operating my mind. And I have a responsibility to operate the mind that God has given me. And not to mention that the mind that we have is the mind of God. The same mind that we use is the same mind that created the universe. It's the same mind that holds the stars in place. That same mind is the mind that we have. I would think that would be good news. Because oftentimes we feel that we've been slighted. We feel that we don't have what it takes. We feel we don't have what it requires. We feel that we don't have what's necessary. But if we have the God mind operating within us, we have everything we need. That's why the proverbial writing says it like this, that with God all things are possible. Have y'all heard that one before? Yeah. With God all things are possible. But we have to have the right concept of God. Because our concept of God determines our experience of God. And we come to understand that God is all, in all, and through all, we now know that we have all. Because we are walking around with it. What you see is what you get. Now, this is the first thing. I'm going to give us 3 practices, 3 principles, 3 things that we can do to perhaps change the things that are showing up in our lives. How many of y'all are still excited about year 2020? Is good. The gym is thinning out. the gym is thinning out. I know. I say it every year, Martin Luther King birthday. It will happen. It's tomorrow. And there are many parking spaces now. It's interesting how it happens. But the same thing happens every year. Because we're looking for lifestyle change. Lifestyle change. It's what we do daily that makes a difference. It's not what we do every other day. It's what we do daily. And as I read and study Dr. Holmes more and more, believe it or not, he emphasized a lot on the word daily, 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 daily. As you give to the universe daily, as you give to the law of mind daily, because it's what we do daily that makes the difference. So the first thing that we must do, if we're going to change what we see, since we now know that what we see determines what we get, the first thing that we need to do is we need to successfully visualize the good that we desire to be, do, and have. Successfully visualize the good that we desire to be, do, and have. How many of us practice visualization? Okay, got a few hands. Got a few hands. Okay, it's 2020. The year's 2020. We're clearing everything up, right? So if we didn't use it last year, we can use it this year, and perhaps it will help us out. Reason being, and I just asked the question to Paulus, because visualization is very key. It's a very powerful and profound practice, because visualization is what helps us to be able to see what it is we desire before we obtain the desire. So perhaps things are showing up in our lives because we've not really seen what we want in our lives. We've not taken time to actually visualize what it is that we want. And the reason I say successfully visualize is because to successfully visualize is to see yourself being, doing, having the good that you desire. To actually see yourself being, doing, and having the good that you desire. Now, there's a young lady here by the name of S.E.E. She's 11 years old. She's been a student of mine for a couple of years, have applied some of those principles. One, namely, we were in a class and she went to a talent show as a visitor, as a guest, and they were taking entries from the floor. She went with another friend. She won the show. So I'm sure her friend probably didn't like that. But she won the show. And we had introduced a song called I Am the Champion, I Am the Champion, I Am the Champion. And that's the song that she sang to win the talent show. But she's fearless. She's fearless. And she's hungry for this type of information. If I had gotten this when I was 11, I'd be president now. But Obama beat me too. Although we supposedly look alike. But the reason I bring up S.E.E. is because S.E.E. was in a competition on yesterday. She was in a debate competition. And her granny, her nana, texted me to let me know that S.E.E. was in a competition, but S.E.E. had done her visualization work. 11 years old doing her visualization work before the competition. And sometimes we just run out in life with no clue, no idea, hoping something happens. As I love to say, wake up on purpose and not on accident. Right. You wake up like an accident waiting to happen. You have no clue of what's going to happen today. No idea of what you want to happen today. No plan for what's to happen today. I'm impressed with an 11-year-old that understands the power of visualization. And visualization is a part of us getting what it is that we want. Without it, chances are we're going to get something that we do not want. I think I even have a golf enthusiast in the room. Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus was big on visualization. If any of y'all play golf, y'all know Jack Nicklaus, one of the best golfers of all time. Jack Nicklaus says he did not hit a shot without first seeing it in his mind. He said he saw the ball sitting up on the green, he saw the ball travel, he saw the ball roll into the hole. He said he never took a shot without seeing it in his mind. And he also said this, he said, I never missed a putt in my own mind.
In his own mind.
There's something to that. Because if we're going to visualize properly, we must see ourselves proper. We must see ourselves winning. We must see ourselves achieving. We must see ourselves being our best. We must see ourselves doing our best. We must see ourselves having the best. That's a proper visualization. I'll clap. Because the way the mind works, it's going to give us back whatever we give it. So if we don't intentionally see what we want to see, guess what? By default, we will see what we don't want to see. And then we'll blame God.
Yes.
Or the devil. Or somebody else. But we get no credit for anything that goes on. It was always something else, somebody else. And that's why things remain the same, because we don't take responsibility for what's showing up. We don't take responsibility for the result. Now, if they're good, oh, yes, I did it. But if they're bad, oh, wow. She did it to me. He did it to me. It must have been, yeah. Okay. Really? Okay. Now, this whole thing with successfully visualizing, Florence Scovel Shinn said this, which I thought was very powerful. And hear me when I say it. Man can only receive what he sees himself receiving. Man can only receive what he sees himself receiving. So that means we can only receive what we see ourselves receiving. Because if we don't see ourselves receiving it, guess what? We'll do something to not receive it. We won't show up as we need to show up in order to receive it. We won't be open to accept that which desires to come in. As Dr. Holmes would often say, God gives us all, but we have to take that which is ours, and that taking is mental. That taking is mental. It's mental. And if we're not open here, it can never come here. Because we're closed to it. So Florence was right. Man can only receive what he sees himself receiving. So we must use our imagination to direct the attention of our mind toward the good that we desire. And the reason this visualization principle and technique is so powerful, because the writer says it like this, and you probably heard it in some shape, form, or fashion. It says that where there is no vision, the people perish. Have y'all heard that before? Yes. Yeah, where there is no vision, the people perish. What that simply means is that the people don't become what they desire to become. The people don't do the things they desire to do. The people don't possess the things they desire to possess, because they did not really have a vision for what they desire to do, for what they desire to possess, and what they desire to have. Without a vision, people perish. But I like to say that with a vision, people flourish. Because you know where you're going. You know what it is you want. You know what it is you desire to be. It's just a matter of waking up and saying that if it's to be, it's up to me. And now it's time to go after it and do it. It's time to go after it and get it. People with a vision flourish. And that second part of that particular scripture says like this: without a vision, people perish. It says, but happy is he who keeps the law. I think that writer was talking about the law of mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Happy is he who keeps the law. So I understand the law of mind. I understand the law of my life. I understand the law of belief. And I now trust in the law. And I understand that if I can hold it in my mind, I can have it in my hand. I'll clap for you, Pastor. To hold it in our mind. The greatest destroyer of dreams, the greatest destroyer of goals being achieved is broken focus. Broken focus. But once we get it in our minds and we can use our will to hold our minds, our attention on that which we desire, nothing can stop it. No thing can stop it. Because you are a force to be reckoned with. So the first thing that we must do is we must successfully visualize the good that we desire to be, do, and have. The second thing that we must do is we must embrace. Someone say embrace.
Embrace.
We must embrace the essence of what it is that we desire to be, do, and have. We must embrace the essence. We must embrace the essence. We must say, this is what I desire to be, this is what I desire to do, this is what I desire to have, and I will have it. Period. I will have it, period. It's not a wish, it's not a want, I will have it, period. That's fully embracing it. Like you're putting it on like a piece of clothing. And no one can take it off of you. Because you fully embraced what you truly desire to see. Because that's how we can test ourselves to see what we truly want, to see what we truly desire to be, to do, and to have, is when trouble comes, when hard time comes, do we give up on it and run? Or do we hold on to it and go? Hopefully we hold on to it and go. Because if we run, we'll never be all that we can be. We will never have all that we can have. And we will never become the greatest, grandest version of our highest selves. We must embrace what we desire to be, to do, and to have. I look at Mel. Stand up, Mel. Yes, ma'am. Let's clap for Mel. Oh, they're both named Mel, so that's why I was like, which one? And the reason I asked Mel to stand is because I saw Mel a couple of weeks ago, and I said, sweetheart, you look beautiful. Because Mel has been working on losing weight. And it's been a journey.
Yep. Still on it.
And the results are now showing. She fully embraced what she desired. She didn't let it go. And I'm sure she would probably say, if she came to the mic, that, hey, every day wasn't a good day. But I had a goal, I had a vision, I had a desire that I was looking to achieve. And I knew that if I just keep working day in and day out, I would eventually get to where I desired to go. I'll eventually look the way I want to look. Because I'm committed to what I see. And I will not stop until it is fulfilled. Because it has now become my destiny. It's my destination that I'm going after. The same mind that's operating in Mel, the same mind that's operating in you, in me, in all of us. And whatever we set our minds to, our mind will take us to. I know that just kind of went way. Whatever we set our mind to, our mind will take us to. Our mind is just like a thermostat. If I set that thermostat on 75, it will increase the temperature to 75, as long as no one touches it. Whatever I set my mind to, as long as I don't turn it, my life will go to that spot. And if I don't set my mind, it may be whatever condition. I get to control the temperature You get to control the temperature. No one else. And if someone else is controlling it, you've allowed it. But you don't have to allow it. Because you have the power of your human mind. The God mind is within you. Ernest Holmes said it like this in Creative Mind and Success. I am the master of my fate. And he got it from Henley. I am the captain of my soul. I added a line. For me, I said, because I am the chosen one, God has given mind control. Yes, sir, we have a hand?
Yes. Is the young talent show winner here today?
Yes, she is.
Would you mind if she stood?
CeCe, will you please stand? Let's give CeCe a big round. Thank you,
son.
Thank you, sir.
So the reason that we must embrace the essence of what we desire to be, do, or have is because we cannot have materially what we do not possess in our mind mentally. We cannot have materially what we do not possess in our mind mentally. We have to get it in our minds first, and then it'll show up in our experience. And we must do whatever work we need to do to get it in our mind. If it's affirmation, if it's visualization, if it's looking at pictures, if it's looking at recordings, whatever it is, we need to get that picture in our mind, because our mind works by way of imagery, by way of images. And once it's turned over to the subconscious mind, it's only a matter of time, because that's the law of mind in action. All right, Napoleon Hill said this, and we'll be wrapping up here shortly. Napoleon Hill said this. He says, hold a picture of yourself long and steadily enough in your mind's eye, and you will be drawn to it. I'll say that one more time. He says, hold a picture of yourself long and steadily enough in your mind's eye, and you will be drawn to it. Because we're always being drawn to something. The question is, to what? And if we don't have a picture in our mind of what it is we are wanting to be drawn to, we've been drawn to this, and to that, and to this, and to that, and to this, and to that, and to this. I see some smiles, and to that. It's called distraction. We're here, we're there, we're everywhere. But once we set our minds on something, perhaps it's not so easy to distract us, because our mind is fixed, our attention is focused. And we're able to do a lot, to create a lot, and to have a lot, because where attention goes, energy flows. Proverbs says it like this, and once again, you come on, Jeff. For as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. For as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So as we think, so we are. And as we continue to think, so we remain. So once I get the right thing in my mind and I'm continually thinking on that right thing, guess what? I can expect the right thing to come about in my life. It's not hocus pocus. It's not hocus pocus. We're working with law. As a man soweth, shall he also reap. It's like the law of cause and effect. You throw it up, it's coming down. That's a law. You think it repeatedly, guess what? You will eventually see it in form. That's a law. You didn't create it, but you can control it by being intentional. Because what you see is what you get. So this is the last point, and we will wrap up. The last thing that you must do is you must embody the good that you desire to see. Not only must you successfully visualize it, not only must you embrace it, you must also embody the good you desire. You have to become the thing you want. You have to become the thing you desire. There is no separation between you and it, because it now has you. We must consciously become the thing that we desire to be, do, and have. Nancy Hale said it like this. She was an American novelist. What man can imagine, he may one day achieve. What man can imagine, he may one day achieve. And I'll wrap up with this last example of the power of embodying the good that you desire. History records a woman who had been dealing with an issue for 12 years. She had spent all she had financially. She had gone to all the doctors, medically. And the story says that she grew worse. She had a bleeding condition. So I'm sure she was famished. I'm sure she was weak. I'm sure she was probably down and out. But the story says that she thought to herself, I got to see something different. It's been 12 years I've been dealing with this condition. It's been 12 years I've been dealing with this weight loss. It's been 12 years I've been dealing with this financial stress. It's been 12 years I've been dealing with this career uncertainty. It's been 12 years I've been dealing with this emotional downturn. Something has to change. Something has to happen. On this particular day, she thought to herself, hey, this guy's coming by, right? And if I could just touch the hem of his garment, right, I'll be made whole. Because what you see is what you get. She defied the conditions. She defied the circumstances and left from where she was in order to go and get what she needed. Because see, when you get tired, when you get hungry, you're willing to leave where you are to go to where you know you need to be. So I think she got out of being down on herself. She got out of depression. She got out of sickness and said, hey, this may be my last chance. I'm going for it. Because she embodied what she wanted. She saw something different. She no longer saw the mountain medical bill. She no longer saw the infirmity. She no longer saw what she was going through. She only saw her new beginning. She only saw her healing. She only saw her breakthrough. She only saw that which she desired. And it caused her to push through all that would have stopped her. And sure enough, she touched his garment. And as the story goes, immediately, someone say immediately. Immediately. Immediately is like sooner than right now. Like quicker than that once. That's what the story says. That's what the story says. It says immediately. It stopped right then and there when she touched the hem of his garment. And he says, hey, somebody touch me. His teammates like, hey, what do you mean somebody touch you? All these people are throwing. No, he said somebody touched me because something left me. She found out that she had been found out. So she goes up and she tells him the whole story. He says, hey, go away, daughter. Your faith has made you whole. The master teacher got credit for it, but he didn't create it. She did. Because she saw something different. Because what you see is what you get. She visualized, hey, if I can just get to him and touch him, it's going to happen. She embraced, yeah, it's going to happen. She embodied it. She made it happen. Because what you see is what you get. I simply spelled the word see, S-E-E. Successfully visualize the good you desire to be, do, and have. Embrace the essence of the good you desire to be, do, and have. And embody it. Be it. Do it. So that you can become it. So that you can have it. And nothing can stop you. All eyes closed, if you will. We're so grateful for this moment. We're grateful for the power that exists within us. We're grateful for the great mind that breathes us. We're grateful that we have a mind that we can utilize in order to bring about the life that we desire. We're grateful for the mind that we have that is available to help us through life situations. We're grateful for the all mind that exists, that we might have access to infinite knowledge, to infinite resources that would resource us in our life experience. I'm grateful for these words that have gone forth. It's my desire that hearts have been opened, and that minds have been receptive to these words. And that each individual will leave knowing that whatever it is that they may find themselves facing, that they may find themselves desiring, that with you, God, all things are possible. And that you're not afar off, that you're within their very being. And for each person that came on today, it's my desire that when they leave, their hearts might burn. There may be a renewed fire, a renewed desire to live the overcoming life, to live the overachieving life, to live the abundant life, to experience joy, happiness, peace, and love, health, wealth, riches, and abundance, to experience the good of life, the good of you, God. We're grateful and we're thankful. We release these words knowing that they're being acted upon, knowing that they will not return void, but that they will accomplish the purpose for which they were spoken and be fulfilled in the thing to which they were sent. God, we give you thanks. Amen? And so it is.
So it is.
And I invite you now to close your eyes, taking some nice deep breaths. Breathe in that sense of freedom into your heart, that sense of choice, that knowing that we can do anything we choose. And now visualize that, embrace it, and embody it today and every day. And so it is.
So it is.
As we go out our separate ways on today, I want you to remember that there is a power for good in the universe that is greater than you, it's greater than me, it's greater than us all. And we can use it to create a great, grand, glorious life experience. And so it is.
And so it is.